Another great way to customize your custom fishing rod is to personalize it. You can order a custom decal through us and put your name, a son's name, grandson's name, anybody's name, or company logo or design. We'll print it out for you on our special decal film, and you can go ahead and epoxy that right into your rod. So we're going to go ahead and place a decal on the blank. A little difficult trying to make it to where you can see it, but make sure it's nice and straight. That looks decent. And press it down from the center. Work our way out. You'll have some bubbles in there. That's why I like to leave plenty of excess on the decal. Push those bubbles into that excess. They may not come all the way out. And then take your razor blade and cut that excess off. Just enough to cut through that film. Like that. You don't want to nick your blank. Pull that off. We'll clean this up before we epoxy it. Go ahead and there's your name. Another cool thing you can do, put a fish decal on there. This is going to be a sailfish rod. Put the sailfish on the blank. Rub it down. These are laser cut decals. So you just press down on the outside, nice and firm. Carefully pull the edges off. All you're left with is the fish. And you can usually leave it that way. What I prefer to do is go ahead and put some trim bands on there. And here I'm going to show you how to use a thread bobbin, just like any old sewing bobbin. Put the thread up through the bobbin. Take our piece of tape. And again, we're going to wrap our thread about 3/4 of an inch away from the decal, cross the thread, and we want these wraps to be nice and thin. So I'm going to go ahead and insert the quick pull right away. Put 5 wraps on there, 6 or 7 if you want. I'm going to keep this really thin. Cut that off. A bobbin does a good job of keeping the thread under tension for you as well. You can do it by hand with a thread tensioner or with a bobbin. It's just up to your preference. Now you see here, rather than pulling our thread through right where the decal is at, I'm going to pull it through underneath it or to the side on our blank. Just so, especially with metallic thread, you may get a little bump. And you don't want that showing where your decal is. Again, cut our tag off just like with the rest of our wraps. Cut our other tag off. And then I'll run the wrapper a little bit, push my fingernail up against the thread, and see how those gaps come together, make a nice straight trim band. Got a little bit of excess trim there. Cut that off. I'll trim the rest of these. Alright, I'm going to finish up this last trim band. And then again, go back and touch up the wraps. I'll use the back side of a razor blade. It's nice and smooth, or probably a better option is to use your burnishing tool or a fingernail. Make sure our wraps are nice and straight and even with no gaps. There we go, we've got our dressed up decals. I'll go ahead and apply the epoxy. And again, this is a spinning rod, so the side of the rod we're looking at is the back side, the side that does not have the guides on it. So that's the side that we typically put the decals on. So they're facing you while you're fishing, or if you're building it for somebody, you know, happy birthday, Dad, or happy, you know, Merry Christmas, so and so. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it the way I prefer, epoxy it the way I prefer to with our big motor here. Just take the epoxy again, starting at the end, and work our way down. Want to make sure we cover every little gap along the way. That's the way I like to do it this way. You know, with it rotating at a decent speed, I can control with my foot, or you can get one of the flex coat slip clutches, and it has the constant higher RPM motor, and you can grab the blank with your hand and slow it down, and then let it go as you feel fit. But looks decent. We'll come back and see if we have any gaps. Touch them up real quick. Find any bubbles. Alright. Switched over to the drying motor. Let it dry. We have a personalized custom rod that you built for yourself or for a friend, for a family member. Let that dry overnight. Once we epoxy our guides, or we can epoxy it all at the same time, and you're ready to go fishing.